Hey, Catherine.
Hello, I've got mine too.
I know, two great minds think alike. So I always do this prayer before I start any show, but I obviously do it before I start recording. And it's called the Mahamitra mantra, which is the most powerful mantra in Sanskrit that's pertinent to Lord Shiva. So I'm going to just do it quickly before I explain what it's about. So, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvaruk Mikbandanam Mrityur Mukshiyamamrita Om Namo Shivaya Om Namo Shivaya. Basically, just the most powerful mantra that I say a few times a day, and I do it before I start each show. But
what does it mean, Alpa?
So it just protects you. As we know right now, there is a lot of demonic energy going on. And the Mahamitra mantra, in essence, is the mantra for Shiva, which is the god of all gods, the destroyer, in the Vedic, the Vedas. And I was about to say Hinduism there, but it's the Sanatana Dharma. I just find a lot of protection. Like for me, I'm so open to hearing about everything.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, because I've experienced the blue Shiva light or Ashtar angels, I've experienced some amazing things, which is without having read any books or without having learned too much about what our history was about, because we know now a lot of it was a load of BS. And then that sort of takes me to religion, and I'm having to kind of look through. I've never considered myself to be religious, always followed a spiritual path and a curious path. And for me, I just hold on to that certainty within. And if we call them, Shiva's like my Ishtadev, meaning the god that I kind of align myself with, but he encompasses all that is and all that isn't. So I could go on and on about Shiva, but
it's a lovely thing to do, isn't it? It's a bit like before I work with an animal, I also have my own little meditation that I do and asking permission and connect with the spirits, and it's just a lovely ritual to do, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just so beautiful because we were just saying before, and I don't mind sharing this, I've been feeling really scatty, more than I normally do over the last few days. Great energy, beautiful energy, riding the wave, and I'm really genuinely feeling really positive. But there's so much going on that sometimes I feel like I need to slow down. My mum said, like, Alpa, slow down. You're just like this jack in the box, just bouncing around everywhere, and you're forgetting things. And yes, I nearly missed this too. Thank you for checking in.
You're so right. There's so much going on, and it's changing. Well, we can't even say it's changing by the day, because it's changing by the hour. So I think, depending on what's going on in that particular thing, I think so many people are sort of riding this waves of, positivity, but then you interact with perhaps a different group of people that you wouldn't normally, and that can trigger different things and different emotions in you. And what I love about all this, Alpa, because we're going to be spending quite a bit of time talking about animals today, but the synchronicities of it all, you and I always talk about the synchronicities, but I feel what we've been through the last sort of this year is really showing us what our animals go through their whole lives, because they're living in a human world where unfortunately they don't have much control over, and they're being bombarded by these different energies from different things. And now we're getting a chance to see what it's like to, the censorship about not having your voice heard, your opinion heard, and things like that. There's so many parallels that I can see that I just think are really fascinating, bearing in mind on when I try and look at things through the eyes of the animals. And I've never, obviously growing up and living in the UK, I've never felt before, powerless is the wrong word, because I certainly don't feel powerless now, but the degree of censorship in my YouTube channel is a bit like a joke. It's off more than it's on, you know. And it's just really weird to sort of experience that frustration and the feeling of not being able to get your voice heard and your message heard, which of course is what animals spend most of their life feeling like.
Absolutely, and that's a good analogy. And I'm sorry about that, but you have to take that title of your YouTube going down with a bit of an accolade, because you know you've got to wear that. You're obviously speaking a lot of truth with the vast array of knowledge that you have, not just with animals, Catherine. I've speak to you many a times, and for everyone that's just introduced you for the first time, Catherine is amazing in every way. She's brilliant with animals. She's brilliant with me. She's helped me so much with Kenzo. Being a confidant and a guide in these troublesome times. I wasn't sure what was going on with Kenzo, but before we go and speak about that, I mean, I just wanted the viewers to know a bit more about you. And you've had some great interviews with Charlie Ward, the powerhouse interview that you did with Judy Mikovich. I mean, what a wonderful lady. And your knowledge on so many different subjects, Catherine, is phenomenal. And I really enjoy our chats on a personal level, you know, because you just are so real. And I love that about you. I love the way you interact with me and teach me how to interact with my own dog. So there's just so much there. But going back to what you were saying just a short while ago about everything that's happened this year, there's so much that's been hit at us that sometimes we have to really take a step back, because it's like, okay, this does feel like it's a movie, and then you have your own life, and then you have the people that you're kind of connecting with sort of cyberly, so that our cyber friends that we have, that we've just sort of flocked together, and we sort of feel that we've known them all our lives. I mean, I have so many people, including you, that I feel real sense of familiarity with, but it's right, it's riding that wave. So 100% things are not changing by the day anymore, they're changing by the hour, and we knew this. And this time for me is so exciting that I have got overexcited.
Yes, so I did that all the time, Elpa.
Yeah, and I get really excited, and I just have to sit back, and you can almost be susceptible to a bit of a crash. So you kind of have to keep that balance. And my mothers are always right. She says, Alpha, calm down. Like, you know, I know you're really involved in this, but Catherine, I'd like you to take it away and just share with my viewers what you do, and we'll start speaking about the animals.
Oh gosh, I'm just going to change my view, because for some reason you can't see, for some reason it's really weird, my emails just popped up and I have no idea why. I didn't touch anything.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's very odd. Let me just
fine.
Oh well, hopefully you can't see it anyway. You can't see my emails all popped up, can you? No, I don't know what's happened.
I can see your beautiful face.
I've loved it. I've loved getting to know you, and we met through obviously the passion that we're sharing for trying to share what's going on at the moment, and for me personally, finding another kindred spirit, because you speak so passionately from the heart. And it's very kind, the introduction you gave me, but I see myself as sort of not an expert in anything. But what I do sort of tend to have a really good ability for is connecting all the dots and seeing how things fit together into the bigger picture. So on a professional level, I've had so many careers, it's hysterical, but I've always wanted to work with animals. I've been lucky enough to grow up with animals. Both my parents were passionate about animals, rescued a lot of animals. We grew up surrounded by animals. But you know, I'm of the age where when I left, you know, school and university, you were either a vet or a vet nurse, and that was about it. And I certainly had no intention, like I'm a biologist, of going into the pharmaceutical industry. But what I'm really passionate about is seeing how everything fits together, because just like what we've been through with this truth story this year, what we're taught medically about how we work, I did animal behavior for physiology at university, and you know, most of what I was taught about animal behavior I just knew from having grown up surrounded by animals just wasn't true. And that questioning and just always making sure that we're balancing what we're learning scientifically, and I love science, I'm such a geek, I'm the most boring person to live with, because I'm constantly researching, because just like you, I mean, you know, my friends say they're going to put hurry up on my gravestone because I'm so excited about everything that I just want to learn and learn and learn and absorb. But what I've managed to do over the more years than I care to remember that I've been doing this is connect with some brilliant minds. So, you know, I work with some brilliant vets that on the veterinary side of things, obviously know way more than I will ever know. And I work with some amazing natural healers and natural therapists. And I specialize in working with plant medicine, essential oils, herbs, love CBD. So what I tend to do is I work in a truly holistic sense. So what that means is when I'm working with the human or the animal, because you can never separate the two, I look at the whole body. So someone might present and sort of, you might say, right, Catherine, Kenzo's got pancreas problems or gallbladder problems and digestive issues, but I don't focus in on that. I look at what's going on with Kenzo's whole body, but also what's going on with Kenzo's environment, because we can't separate any of us from our environment. And again, so many parallels, because there's been so much disagreement between medical experts about whether you can, with this whole COVID issue, whether you can transmit a virus or not. And there's been lots of really fascinating medical discussions about the germ theory. Mm-hmm. So anyone who believes the COVID is spreading like wild and there's a new variant, etc., they would, whether they know it or not, be subscribing to the germ theory, which is basically there's these pathogens out there in their environment that are out to get us, and they will. But we all know we can live in a household where, say, there's 5 people in the house and one might get the flu and the others might be fine. Yeah. So there's an alternative, which was by Beauchamp, which is called the terrain theory. And the terrain theory is, rather than this germ is going to get you so that we're going to transmit viruses between each other, is more like looking at the terrain of the whole body, the health of the whole body. And therefore, why are some animals or humans susceptible to something and others aren't? And then you take that further in holistic medicine, because you don't just look at the terrain of the body, but you're looking at the terrain, the environment that that body is sitting in. Yeah. So you and I know, I mean, the classic example this morning, obviously you're in London, I'm in Surrey, even though I'm in Waverley, that miraculously is the only bit of Surrey that isn't currently in tier 4, probably because all the rich politicians live there. Not that I'm cynical or anything, but you know, everyone's had their Christmas plans cancelled.
Yeah. Now, know why that is, though. You know,
it's just madness, isn't it? We're putting ourselves, we're physically stepping into that box and turning the key ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah, but there is so much that's going on behind the scenes, and with what's going on in the US and the militaries here as well, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
I can't wait, because I've just shared one of your posts with everyone that, but the thing is, for all of us, so you and I, we feel in our truth and our hearts, we feel that we've got a good understanding, say, why this latest lockdown is happening, whereas a lot of people haven't.
Yeah.
But when we go through these roller coasters of stress, that's going to impact Kenzo, because Kenzo's sharing his environment with you. You're emotionally beautifully connected, and your story of how you got together is really special. And there's never an accident in why a human and an animal come together, in my opinion. It's always a mutual learning curve, a journey, soul flames, whatever you want to call it.
It's definitely that. And I actually haven't shared that story, I don't think, in
it would be lovely to do so, because it's quite special, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, the whole impact for animals throughout this, I started realizing and noticing spiritually, 1, and 2, just observing his energy when the first lockdown happened, and he was still a puppy. I got him exactly a year ago on the 19th of December last year. And I remember when I decided to get a dog, I was at a place where I look after my mum. I'm not in a situation where I would be able to support her and then have my own kind of life. And plus I don't want her to live on her own, so I've sacrificed my kind of independence to look after my mum. So she was very up like against having a dog. We had a beautiful Belgian Shepherd before, and she got really tired with that, with the fact that, you know, he shed so much hair. So I chose Kenzo, one because I wanted a toy poodle, because I just think they look like little teddy bears, but their temperament, the fact that they're hypoallergenic, they're very intelligent. So I thought, I did a lot of research and I thought, right, toy poodle is the one I want to get. So I looked on Gumtree to look for toy poodles for sale, red toy poodles. And it was really weird because I realized, I think it was Gumtree or one of these portals for pets. And it was 222 likes on that post at 22.22. And I didn't really sort of pay like proper attention, but I noticed it. I was aware, you know, I observed that. And because I kept seeing like numbers everywhere anyway for ages. And then when I said, right, that's it, I want to go for him, I just saw the picture and I had this instantaneous, like, that's the one, I have to go. So when I went to meet this lady, I forgot her name now, Andrea, something like that. And I went to pick up Kenzo, got all his paperwork and everything. And I said, oh, didn't look at his birthday. When's his birthday? So I know when I can celebrate. And she said, what date? 22nd. And I was just like, you're kidding me? Because I kept seeing the number 22 for the last year, like prior to all of this. And also 22 is connected to 11/11. 11 plus 11 is 22, and I'm born at that time. So I thought, wow, there is the serendipity of this. You can't make this up. There's no coincidences. He's a soul connection that was meant to come into this family. So yeah, when I got Kenzo, and now it's been a year, he's had all sorts of problems in his first year, which is quite upsetting, because he's going to feel like, when all this whole hoo-ha about the 5G was coming out, he was falling sick. Just the day before yesterday, we haven't had a chance to say this, but you know, he was vomiting ferociously just the day before the solstice. And it was weird because I was with a friend. She kept telling me she kept feeling sick, and Kenzo met her for the first time. It's almost like he absorbs people's energy and he takes it upon himself. And he's such a little thing that I'm like, oh my God, I need to protect him more. So you're absolutely right, Catherine, that when we're looking at pets, it's not how we've been looking at our own health for such a long time. And I had this thought when I got him. I started looking at alternative dog food, like vegan dog food first, and I thought there's not enough research about this to really go there, and a little bit of fear about going into trusting the vets over and above like my instinct. And I'm not saying vets don't do a good job or anything, but I thought, if the medical system is all governed by we know how now, surely this applies to the veterinary system, like the vets are, this is the same thing. And I thought, all the food that they've been recommending, Kenzo has been rejecting it. His body is rejecting kibble. He's rejecting kibble. He's rejecting their digestive care stuff, the health science stuff. He's just rejecting it. So at the moment, obviously, until I put him on the diet that you've recommended, I started observing this, and I thought, you know what, all the stuff that you told me made so much sense. I'll let you explain that in a minute. But they've got so many chemicals in their food, even in the probiotics. So that hunch that I had, because we've been thinking about us as humans holistically and all this alternative medicine that we have, etc. But the same applies for animals. You know, you have to listen to them and treat them holistically as well. So take it away, Catherine. I think you're absolutely right about that.
Yes, so many good points there. First thing I'm going to say, and please don't take offense to this, but I must say to people, don't ever buy an animal off Gumtree or anything, because no reputable breeder would advertise their pets on Gumtree. There's a huge issue at the moment with certain people breeding dogs for money and advertising things like that, and them ending up in the wrong hands. So I'm just going to say that, otherwise we'll get slaughtered when it goes out. But you're also right. I've heard you share on
I went on, so just to clarify that point, I think it was this pets for sale site, not Gumtree, but I went on Gumtree, so I can't remember which one it was. But I did look there, but it leads you to a link to pets for sale or something like that. So
and normally most sort of breeders, there's two sort of schools of thought. You go to a breeder and they should be registered with the Kennel Club. So if people want to get a breed, go to the Kennel Club. And then obviously if you want to go down the rescue route, that's different. But you really picked up, and when we first spoke, it was so interesting because, you know, you've got pure bred dog, you've done your homework, you're really knowledgeable yourself on health and fitness, but so much in what we get taught, we get sort of brainwashed into thinking certain things are okay because we're told to do them. So a classic thing is feeding your dog kibble. Now, if anyone got a bit of brown kibble, I should have had some here, and looked at it, if you really engage your common sense at all, you'd never eat that yourself. You'd never feed that to your two-legged children. So why do we think it's okay for an animal? And what they do is it's so heavily processed. And obviously we live in a world now where there's so much processed food available. But the other thing you and I discussed, because then you switched off the kibble because you followed your intuition and you went for a good top of the brand tinned range, but that was manufactured in Thailand. And you can imagine how the chickens are kept and slaughtered and fed in Thailand. So from a pet...
But again, just interject there, the reason being as well, this is how we all get duped, because and it's like natural food, it's the wording that they put. So we have to be that much more attentive when we're reading ingredients in our own food and our animals' food. Because when you said that to me, I kind of oh, Kenzo, hello, he's here.
Hello, Kenzo, gorgeous.
Let me free. Yeah, sorry about that. What happened?
Oh my goodness, Kenzo, you are so cute. Can you imagine going through life looking like that? Well, when everyone looks at you, just goes, oh,
Kenzo, he just has that look of like, really?
Yeah, he's like, who are you? Hi, Kenzo. But yeah, so the trouble is, it's like I do see so many parallels, because there's so many people in the truth community that are saying how ridiculous that people can't see through this. But every aspect of our lives we're lied to with the advertising. So I've just got back from seeing a really amazing dog client today, and very, very well-informed lady who's had dogs all her life, really lovely lady. And, you know, she'd been told to put her dog on this special kibble. It's got horrendous arthritis and digestive issues. But she herself home cooks all the family's meals with fresh, real ingredients. And then when I started speaking to her, she said, well, we always used to feed our cats like that, but now we're told to do them this. And, you know, no animal is designed to eat the same thing every day, period. You know, it doesn't matter how good that meal is that you put in front of yourself or your animal. We thrive on variety. We thrive, you know, in nature, you don't eat the same thing every day. You eat what you've got access to. And if it doesn't look like real food, it's not like real food, you know. So there's some brilliant things, you know, Rodney Habib sitting there eating a bowl of dog kibble. You know, dogs are very similar to humans genetically and also physiologically. There are obviously some important differences. Mainly they look a lot nicer than we do. But, you know, there are, to a lot of terms, you know, in terms of all mammals, we work quite similarly. So when I'm working with a client, I like to use a phrase that Louise Hay, lovely Louise Hay, says: if you're spring cleaning your house, you know you've got to get around every room of the house, but it doesn't necessarily matter which room you start on, unless you've got important visitors coming for dinner, in which case you might start with the room they're going to be in. So when I'm working with an animal and they're human, I know I've got to look at diet, water, sleep, stress, environmental toxins, medications. And by medications, I'm also including things like vaccinations, wormers, flea treatments, etc. But where I start on that journey will be largely down to where the owner's at and what they feel that they can take on board straight away. But food is normally always a starting point.
Yeah.
Because obviously we can, as grown-ups, I can still remember when I moved out of home, that excitement of being able to go shopping and eat what you want when you want it. But our animals are 100% dependent on us for what we feed them, when we feed them, what we put in their body, when they go for walks, when they exercise, who they socialize with. So the more we as our parents can be better informed, the better decisions we can make. And you said something really important in that last bit, which is about you knew, your intuition told you this wasn't right. And yes, this is why I empathise with a lot of people with the current sort of situation that we're going through now. They know something's not right, but they've got so many people sort of aggressively telling them, don't be so silly, don't be selfish, don't be this, don't be that, that they haven't quite found their voice to say it.
Yeah,
and
it's fear, lack of, and those are the things. It's the fear and then the lack of knowledge. So we have this assumption, and we rightfully should have that assumption, that we, the people in the position of care work, should be telling us the correct information. Yeah, therefore that it applies to the government, that it applies to the medical fraternity, the vet fraternity, you know, political fraternity, everything. So we assume that. What has these assumptions done? They've made an ass out of you and me, so metaphorically, you know. What they, so when we start looking at our own health, thinking, okay, great, there's much more awareness now in the last 5 years. Again, look at what they did with the vegan industry, and they completely destroyed that. They got in there, started making these vegan burgers, all masked with the labeling of being healthy, but then you look out for the ingredients. So again, people are confused, and people have become, said very respectfully, not meaning to be, including myself, lazy, because we want things quick, instant gratification, quick fixes, quick this, quick that. So we've just become compulsive now as humans. You know, where we're like, just, you know, and in our sort of mental sort of frame of mind as well, myself included, that's where my mum said, I would slow down, because, you know, getting caught up with all of this stuff. But it's really something that I feel very strongly about. So yeah, we have to really sort of take a step back and think, the lies that we've been told, it's with everything, therefore we need to question more and take a back seat. So yeah, sorry.
And what I love about it is because with humans, you're always thinking about the placebo effect. Now, it really makes me laugh a lot, actually, because people say the placebo, well, that could be placebo, as if it's a negative thing. But if changing your thoughts alone can change the health in your body and your environment and what you manifest, fantastic. It's free. What's the problem? But animals don't have the placebo effect. Yes, they're picking up on our energy, but with animals, it's very clear cut whether the changes you're making, good or bad, are making a difference. Because Kenzo's not sitting there and thinking, well, she's gone and bought me organic chicken, so now I know it's going to make me better. You might be thinking that, but he's not. So the beauty of animals is on so many levels. They're so in tune with their intuition. They're so driven from their heart, and what you see is what you get. And of course they will pick up on our stress, our energy and everything else, and we'll come on to a few bits of that. But basically, in a nutshell, with humans and with animals, the more back to basics we go, the better. And what I do is I work with people to give them lots of different options, because like lots of things in life, there's often a balance between time and money. You know, if you're really short of time and you want to buy a good quality ready-made feel, you're going to need to spend a bit more money. But equally, if you've got a little bit more time and you want to save money, you can make some amazing healthy meals yourself. And what we do is we go through that and see what suits different people in different budgets, timescales and situations. So I always start with the food, and I'm always there to help people make changes at a pace that they can deal with. And also, like me, you know, I don't eat perfectly by any stretch of imagination. So we go for the 80-20 rule. You know, 80% you want to be giving your pet something really healthy. 20% of the time, so long as, you know, the other 80 is good, you can get away with murder. And we all deserve treats now and then. And then we also spoke about the water, because the water quality is so important. And I've had many a varied career, and it's really funny now I've reached my stage. I can see how sort of every job that I've done has brought me to this level of knowledge. So I used to be an environmental manager and do a lot of work on water quality. And they made me do an MSc in groundwater chemistry, which I hated at the time. But now it's brilliant, because I really do understand what's in our water supply. It's got horrendously bad over the last 20 years. And most people will observe, if you take your dog out for a walk, they love drinking from puddles. And that's because they can taste what's in our tap water. Their sense of smell is so potent compared to us. They can taste it when we can't necessarily.
Yeah, Kenzo's a little bit different, because I think Kenzo thinks he's a human. He actually goes, he doesn't like getting wet, and he does not one of those dogs that just likes getting dirty. He will just look at me to expect me to carry him across the puddle, because if there's nowhere else for him to go, he'll just go like that to me. I mean, Kenzo seriously thinks he's a human, so he won't drink puddled water, and I actually hope that he does, because
I bet you if you went to the middle of a pristine woodland away from any pollution,
he would.
I would put money on the fact he'd drink from that puddle.
Yeah, he's eating a lot of grass right now, but that's
and there's various reasons for grass, and I know he's got some digestive challenges at the moment, but grass they can be eating for a few different reasons. The main thing about eating grass is it's a completely natural behavior, but the downside is it depends what that grass is contaminated with. So just like you wouldn't pick dandelion leaves to put in your salad if they were grown by the side of a busy road or in the middle of a city, similarly, if they're eating grass in that sort of environment or anywhere where there could have been chemical treatment supplied, which is virtually every parkland, then that's dangerous. But dogs will naturally eat grasses, cleavers, various different weeds to purge out their system, because their digestive system works. In the wild, they would eat a whole rabbit and then they would sick up the skin and the bits that they didn't want to digest, which is a distinct difference from us, because as humans, we always associate being sick with ill.
Yeah.
Or alcohol.
Thing about the purging, because just everything that's happening sort of spiritually and energetically at the moment, it was so symbolic of Kenzo throwing up the day before the solstice, because that's what we know, all the stuff that we've been reading, and purge, transmuting of any residual debris energy that's going on. This is why people's emotions are all over the place, because almost spiritually being forced to deal with things that no longer serve us, and we're kind of cornered into doing that. So whether you're aware of it or not, that's actually what's happening. And the same thing happened with Kenzo. So going back to the water, I think that that's really important that people know that, and I think we stop that point. But yeah, he doesn't really drink puddle water. He doesn't drink much water, full stop, to be fair. But yeah, that's a really, really valuable point you've made there, Catherine, about the water, because people need to know that it's going to affect.
It's really important. So this is all the type of thing that we cover in a lot of detail in the consult, and obviously everyone's starting from a different point. So some people are absolute experts in water and filtration and ionized and alkaline water, and other people haven't even thought about it. So we start where the client's ready from. But what you were saying about the purging with the 21st, with the solstice, with the planetary alignment, it's so interesting, Alpa, but because I've got 3 horses, 2 of which are 30 years old, which is quite old for a horse, and one of them came down with colic on the solstice, or the day before the solstice. And colic is just a nasty disease, lots of different causes of it. But I've got a very open vet, and luckily, touch wood, I don't have to see them very often. But this lovely young lady came out, and I was saying it's so weird because he's been so well, and then I explained about the planetary alignment and the solstice, and she's so sweet because she said, yeah, Catherine, I can imagine you coming out with that. But these animals feel these magnetic shifts way more than we do. And, and she also said she'd been called out to loads of horses with colic that day. And I was like, well, could be something in it. Could also be the weather, which is unusual for horses for this time of year. But there's never one root cause to things. But the combination of all these factors are really, really important. And anything we feel energetically, the one thing we can guarantee is our animals feel it way stronger than we do.
Yeah,
because it's so in tune with nature. Even the purebreds, even the city dogs, their instincts are so strong still. It's wonderful.
Yeah, Kenzo's definitely that. I mean, even when my mum wasn't well recently, was just really run down, and also fed up with everything that's going on. It's just taken away people's livelihoods. But me being optimistic, knowing that at the other side of this is going to be a lot better than what people can imagine, but we've still got to do the work. We've still got to do so much work within ourselves. So she's just ran herself down, and Kenzo could really pick that up and he just wouldn't leave her. He wouldn't even come to me. He would just go to my mum. And he's absolutely a sweetheart like that, you know. He's just a little human. He's just got, but he can't speak, and he's just the way he looks at you. I have had, like I said, a dog before. Sebastian was a bit of a docile dog, you know, just a bit of a Scooby-Doo, you know, just really docile, quite chilled out, you know, didn't really have much anxiety. He was just really chilled out. Kenzo's very perceptive.
Yeah.
Breed as well, and he's perceptive in the park. He is quite territorial sometimes, but he's got a nervous disposition, and that was, I think, could have been, now this is where I can kick myself, because when I first got him, I did say to the breeder, if you could put him on a specific food, not the one that she was going to put him on. So it separated him from his brothers, and then she said, look, I can't do that, because I've got to put him on the same one as them, because he's the one that was the heaviest in the beginning and the largest, and he's become the lowest in weight. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to put him on the food that, you know, because she was a really lovely lady, really good with her. It was a second breed. And I thought, oh no, did I cause that? Like, did I cause that separation within him? So did he develop anxiety because of that? And could he have?
I mean, you could have, but equally, the way we raise puppies and everything, I mean, in the wild, they'd never, ever be separated from their mother at 8 weeks old. So we're told it's normal. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you know, of course, they're living in a human world, the things. I'm not saying it's a disaster, but in the wild, they'd never be separated from their mum and weaned at 8 weeks old. It's purely a man-made rule. Oh, that's fine, 8, 9 weeks, then, and some even younger, which is terrible. And then they're taken out of there, and they're not bombarded with vaccinations, with wormers, with feed treatment, everything that's bombarding their body. I mean, we've been having so many conversations about the vaccination that's out now, but we've been pumping our animals full of them every year, and we've been shoving wormers down them and flea treatments on that. If you read the instructions, it says do not touch them, do not do this, but we're happy to put them on our animals' necks. So there's so many courses of what we've been told to do and told is normal, when there's very safe ways of controlling fleas, of controlling worms, of making sure your dog's got immunity. I mean, the fact that we vaccinate puppies below 8 weeks of age, I mean, there's loads of studies that shown that the vaccinations can't work at those age, because they've still got their mother's immunity. So you set off all sorts of issues. So I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, gosh, when I look back, what I've done with my animals, with my children, with myself, you know, the way we learn is in hindsight, but everything we're taught about the animals and about how we look after them, you know, it's like loads of people, you know, dogs are pack animals.
Yep.
They're not designed to be on their own. Now, Kenzo's not on his own. And I'm not saying, by the way, I am absolutely not saying no one must have an only dog. Yeah. It's just understanding that it's not natural for them. So
I'm getting another one. I'm getting a girl.
Yeah, good. And the Planet of the Apes, you know, imagine if the original Planet of the Apes, you take the humans and you shut them in a cage and we're looked after by apes. We're another primate, we're not that, but we can't communicate with them in their language. And they live differently to how we do, and we have to fit in with their lifestyle. So I know this might seem a bit extreme, and I'm not this extreme, but I work with people. Absolutely, dogs are very happy living in a human environment. But the more we understand these issues, the subtle changes of choices we can make that may transform their lives, absolutely transform them.
I can't wait for him to meet you.
Wait, I really can't wait. We have to meet up for a walk, won't we? It's just beautiful around.
But just the bit you said about wormers, I just wanted to share a story there. Yeah. Anyway, it's so weird, like how my intuitive compass has worked in this story with Kit, the ability to really intuitively kind of tell what's going on with him. So because I've learned a bit of Reiki, so I do a little bit of Reiki on his stomach, and I feel the biases, and I feel them quite strongly. And it's just like, since I've had my Reiki attunement, I just do a bit of healing, and it's interesting how he falls sick the next day. I got wormers because they said to me when he was hospitalized in May, that, you know, he needs his wormers, he needs his wormers. And then the second time I took him to the vets after that first initial visit at the hospital, they were just trying to sell me wormers. It's so interesting. On both occasions, I lost those packets. I paid for them, so I picked them up. I don't know for the life of me. And then I had to call them up and say, I've lost it. So twice I lost the wormers. And that's spiritually, I think, a spiritual thing, because it's like, I find them. I had the food, they were in the bag. I don't know what happened, but it was like messages from the divine. And I feel I'm very divinely led in this journey, because, you know, I was really asleep with so many things. I mean, with my health, yeah, it made a lot of sense, but especially with some of the things that we've learned in these last 9 months, I was really asleep. And I just feel that somebody up there is really looking after me to say, listen, we're going to look after Kenzo as well, because you can't put him on the wormers. And when you explain to me why you don't have this, and with the vaccines, it was like, oh my God, I intuitively knew something was wrong here. So thank you. It just makes sense. And when you, like you said at the start, when you start connecting everything, you know, we always say mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
Right? We connect everything and all the dots this year. You have to have strong resolve, that's for sure.
Oh, you certainly do. I mean, it's you know, I know we both went to it, but you know, because I'm a biologist and a scientist, and all my friends are in the pharmaceutical industry and public health and etc. And the thing is, it's so ridiculous, because nothing I do is not scientific.
Yeah.
It's that I understand there's more to that, and the whole point about science is it's continually evolving. It's never meant to, the definition of it is not to stay still. So we're constantly learning things, you know, and you learn from your mistakes. I mean, there's an issue going on now in terms of, you know, the difference is, though, is a lot of the things we're being told to do to ourselves, to our children, to our animals now, I honestly don't believe are mistakes and lack of understanding. I feel there's a deeper agenda behind that. But equally, there will be some that are genuine mistakes. And, you know, we all learn, you know, from life experiences, and every animal that I have teaches me something new. And, you know, when we're looking at things like vaccinations, worms, things like that, I'm not saying that we don't need to protect our animals at all. I'm saying there's much safer ways of doing it. So I've got some amazing vets I work with, but we use the pharmaceutical products as a last line of defense, not a first. Because there are times when they're absolutely needed,
of course,
but not all the time, and not to the extent we do it. So looking after our own microbiome, and I know you love Zach Bush as much as I do, but the microbiome affects everything. 80 to 90% of our immune system. We can't absorb our nutrients, any digestive issues, but much more than that: skin, anxiety, cancers, everything. When we look after that microbiome, which is affected by food, by water, by stress, by chemicals in our atmosphere for what we're putting them on. Another thing is dog groomers. You know, most people, you know, 20 years ago, no one went to the dog groomer, and they didn't exist. And now we've got all these breeds that need grooming. That's fine. That's lovely. But every single client, without fail, and I work with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, hasn't got a clue what products their dog groomers are using on them.
Yeah, that's true. I don't actually.
I've got no idea. And also, they're very happy to hand them over and leave them there. And some dog groomers are absolutely amazing. And you can tell by how happy your dog is to go in and how happy they are when you pick them up.
Yeah, Kenzo loves this groomer because I chose a family-based one.
Lovely.
In Hampstead. And yeah, I've sent him to one other lady, a local lady, and he was just petrified when he came out. So I could just really, I'm quite in tune with Kenzo. Like I know what he's feeling, and I know he's a little bit of a drama king, and you know he likes sulking. He has such a hump with me if I've done something in the morning that he doesn't like, or you know, Kenzo's got a huge personality, so I can really.
It's the only way of communicating with you, though.
Yeah.
They have to make it really obvious, because otherwise we might not pick up on it.
Yeah, I mean, he gets upset with me quite a bit. He won't come to me, he'll go straight to my mum. And it's funny, I'm like, come here, and then he'll like take a U-turn and he'll just go underneath my mum, and he's like, I don't want to speak to you, mum. But I noticed, so this family-based one, he comes back and he just looks like this like really big flat. They use, by the way, organic stuff. That's why I chose them. But I didn't think consciously though that what shampoo do they use. It's just the lady, a really beautiful Chinese lady. She goes, oh, I've got the same breed, and she was quite in tune with their sort of their spirit, and that's what aligned me with her. I thought, wow, you're quite sort of on that spiritual path, and I like that, you know, because Kenzo didn't like the other one, so he really likes this lady. So it's really important to observe that in your pet. Just don't dump them there. Kenzo's quite quite clingy though. He's quite clingy. It's a clingy breed, right?
No, and I just really, I get really triggered when people say,
oh, sorry.
First of all, no, it's great, because what I love about you, Alpha, is I could be honest, but
you can.
First of all, you know, dogs are a pack animal, and you've got one dog on your own, so he has to be attached to you. I prefer that word rather than clinging, because if someone described me as clingy, you know, if I feel really clingy, Alpha, how would that make you feel?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, actually, all their dogs are not solitary animals, so he's got no other dogs in his environment, so you and your mum are his pack.
Yeah, absolutely. See, and for the viewers watching this, it's so important. This is what I love about Catherine. You know, we have such a constructive conversation, because I learn, and that's what we're here to do. You know, since I've started doing all of this stuff, I always have a disclaimer that I don't know everything. I'm just an ordinary person that's just sort of decided to speak about what's going on, and not having known what's going on. And people like yourself, you know, we can take the nuggets of wisdom, or, you know, you're a professional in this industry and you've studied science for many years. Your background is so vast and huge that I respect you, and I respect you because you understand what's going on the spiritual plane. So we can always learn from each other. But yeah, you're right, you know, we have to learn how to speak to them. So I apologize to Kenzo if I have to tell him off. I'm sorry, are you upset with mummy? And then like my mum's laughing, she goes, as if he's going to understand us. Mum, he understands everything. He's a sensitive little soul.
One of my horses, I mean, I'm so lucky because I get it wrong, Alpha, all the time. Every single person and animal I work with, but also I've got all my animals to rescue. I've got 3 horses, 3 dogs, 5 cats, 3 guinea pigs, and one of my horses is my best. Yeah, he's amazing. So recently, and I think it happened once when I was on the phone to you, so when I'm taking my horses into their different fields, because I like to vary their environment for them so they don't get bored, if I'm on the phone when I'm with my horse, I've got 3 horses, all completely different personalities, but Romeo, my baby, he's so funny because he does not put up with any crap from me. So when I'm disrespectful to him, and he thinks it's really disrespectful, and I agree, if I'm with him and I'm talking on the phone to someone else or listening to a podcast or a video, so I'm not present with him, because this is what our animals want. They want our attention, our present. They want to know we're focusing on them. He's hysterical. He'll boot me off the bum. He'll disappear off in the wrong direction. He won't let me catch him, because he's very clearly telling me, look, this is so rude. Now, I've had the conversation with my husband when, you know, I'm trying to talk about something I think is really important. He's just looking at the football results. And I'm like, that's so rude. That's so rude. But then I'm going and doing exactly the same thing to my horse. But the brilliant thing is Romeo won't let me get away with it. It's hysterical. Whilst the others will. The others put up with it because they're very stoic. And
your husband get away with it.
All my animals teach me so much, and they also teach me, they call me out on my own shit when I'm not practicing what I preach. And I'm so grateful for it, because you know, I've got 2 Romanian rescue dogs that came with an awful lot of trauma and challenges, and I've had dogs all my life, and they've taught me more, these 2 dogs, than I've learned in 30 years of having other dogs. And it's such a blessing, because I've had to be really careful with the language I use to them, because they pick up on the energy. They're so in tune with their instincts. They've lived wild, you know, you have to be. Only the fittest survive. But when I perhaps say something that I haven't thought through is a bit derogatory, like one of the dogs has got a little bit of fear aggression because she's of the circumstance she come from, she picks me up on it, and I've learned so much, and it's been so great, because then I can pass that on to others. So we're so lucky with our animals. They're such biggest teachers. And as you said, you know, Kenzo is such a little character and so in tune and teaching everyone all the time. But the great thing is not to beat ourselves up. Just like if we didn't understand, you and I have both said, I knew nothing about politics. I was a standing joke in my family. I literally couldn't even name the British cabinet, so I'm just not interested in them. I think they're all liars, and I don't believe a word they say. Absolutely. But this year I've become amazingly interested, but I still keep getting people's names wrong. Yeah. My family find it hysterical, because they're so much better informed on normal politics than me. Yeah. But I don't care. I'm at the age now where I don't care. I'm always getting
the intention for we must look at our intentions in everything we do from our perspective, and we don't have to get it all right, because our intention is really to, you know, call out the BS that's been going on. We have had so much so many lies being told to us, and we're all exhausted to some degree. We all are exhausted, and to get to this place of unity consciousness that I always go on about. I live in this idealistic world at times. I like going there because it's fun and it's sweet and it's just lovely, beautiful energy. I am not shy of the reality of what's going on at grassroots, but sometimes that's my kind of go-to place where I manifest that. I try to manifest that in my mind. I just see a world the way I'd like to, you know, live in. And that's why I feel right now I'm attracting the most amazing people. I think there is a difference between false flattery and genuine respect and appreciation. We say in Sanskrit, it's called Sanskar and Sabhyata and Satbuddhi. These are the 3 S's that I try and align myself with every single day, because when I meet people, like-minded people like yourself, especially on this journey, but with so much valuable things that you can teach me. That's the sanskar in Sanskrit. That's the education that you can impart on me to say, like navigate me through my trials and tribulations in this journey that I'm having with Kenzo, for example. And the other people that I'm meeting is just like beautiful minds, and we've all kind of flocked together. We've all got something that we can add value to in this journey, and I just think it's remarkable, Catherine. So I really am truly grateful to you for everything that you've done for me personally and, you know, imparted today with us. And I think we've got so much more that we can learn, and I think I'd like to do another one with you, because I'm aware of time. We've gone on almost an hour now.
And please don't ever use, you remind me, I've got a beautiful, beautiful friend called Rachel, and I must get you 2 together one day, because you're that lovely innocent joy we were talking about, the Dory, the things like that. That's so important. That's more important than anything at the moment, because we know we create our own reality. Right. And that's what I do. Every time I speak to you and my friend Rachel, I always come away feeling better, because it's just so positive. And you and I are both friends with Charlie Ward, and he says it so well. Everyone has got a bit of the jigsaw puzzle, and it doesn't matter, you know, there's not one bit of that puzzle that's more important. Some of it might be the beautiful picture in the middle, and I might just be a corner bit of the sea, but you need all those little bits to do it. And I'm so grateful for the group of us that are all sort of coming together, and I'm learning so much every day from all of them. And for you, Alpo, I really always really learn the positivity and keep focused on what you do want.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's really what my intention's been set out. Like, I am a bit of an assassin on Facebook, mind you.
No, I love it. I love it.
And I do, and I won't sort of tolerate. I know when to separate myself from stupidity and nonsense that you just can ignore, and it doesn't really bother me. But sometimes you can't tolerate nonsense as well. And that's going to do, that goes back to me talking about the sanskar that I was saying, of how I've been brought up. I don't know what the English word is, so I'm kind of struggling here. But anyway, it's our attitude in life, which will dictate what we attract.
Yeah.
And if you see the best in people, but you can also home into somebody's negativity,
Yeah.
I can home into that with people. It's your energy. Your energy, energy doesn't lie. It's your inner compass that will always be guiding you. And as I have learned to trust myself over the years through so many trials and tribulations, I realize that when I meet people, you obviously see the best in them, but if an inner antenna is going off, like, you know, something's not quite right here, it usually isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what we do is we give the benefit of the doubt. And that's what I always try and employ, especially in this journey. But yeah, the intention's always to leave everyone positive, and that's not sort of a false sense of flattery or a false hopium. It's just, look, we've only got now. This is all there is now, this moment in time. I'm open to hearing about aliens and this and that and whatever, but it just goes in one ear and out the other, because for me, I find it fascinating, but how is any of that going to make a difference in my life in the here and now?
Yeah.
In the here and now, all I have is this. So these compulsions, these kind of overthinking, monkey chatter, I do it myself. I get confused. I have my own sort of insecurities. I have my own vulnerabilities. I don't understand things sometimes, and I let that get me into a bit of a hissy fit here and there. But yeah, we're all the same though, but just living our own sort of script.
Yeah, my favorite teacher by my favorite t-shirt, I look a scruffy mess, but it basically says, be the person your dog thinks you are. And I just love that. So if I'm letting stress get to me, or I'm turning into a dragon because something's really annoyed me, or I've seen some other stupid thing on the one bit of news I've turned on, then I always go back to this: be the person your dog thinks you are. And you can't go far wrong, can you?
Right, Kenzo thinks I'm mental, but he's not far wrong.
He loves you, and he is literally. I mean, I just can't imagine what it must be like to go through life looking like Kenzo.
Oh, he just really is, and he knows it. He really does.
I know.
And I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much. If I don't speak to you before Christmas, have an amazing Christmas.
You too, sweetheart. And we're going to do a second part to this, because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions. Thank you.
And a nice walk in the woods as well.
Definitely.